the happiness love tree for Saint Michael-Angelo. I think I forgot that part in there. Saint Michael-Angelo and King Scotland. And so, okay, so let's just get started. And so I did, this is my still from yesterday. I just wanted to show you the progress of it. And so I colored this up. So, okay, here. So, okay, so how am I going to do this? Okay, so their heads are kind of together like this. And then, okay, and okay, so now I'm going to work a little bit here on the tree part. We're just getting going here. I do have my chat on. I am here. I don't have the means at all to do any of the automated streaming or anything. So that's something the networks have. Okay, I can fix these arms a little bit later. I'm just kind of working on the premise of what I'm working on. The premise of, that's basically what I'm doing, is just working on kind of the, and this section is, oh wait, did I mess up a little bit? I might have. It's probably going to be okay that I did. Okay, so Okay, I'm just here drawing, and um, if anyone has any questions, I am here, and you're welcome to put them in the comment section below. We're going to put in a little bit of shadowing here as we go along. We can always make it a little bit lighter. Oh, no questions yet. I thought maybe we would have some questions here. Um, okay, I'm going to see if I can't work on this part here a little bit better. The hand, I didn't do very well there, so I'm going to just have to erase a little bit and see if I... Yeah, I don't have the hands down very good in this, but I'm going to just have to improvise and do the best that I can with the hands. I was trying to make a little elbow there. I don't know, maybe my image is too controversial? I don't know. I mean, is that what it is? Okay, so what we've got right here is kind of like a tiny folded over finger, and then another folded over finger, and then that one is a little bit longer, kind of like that. And got a little, that looks a little bit better. Okay, here, so okay, so now we're gonna start working on some of the little branches and things. Oh, I know what I could work on down here is what I've got going on around here is kind of like a squiggly line of circles, you know, so I've got this, these little squiggly lines. I mean, these are always very popular with kind of creating this circle effect. So, okay, I've got that part there. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take this branch and we're going to make it a tiny bit smaller. And we are going to add in some, no, just a hint, kind of a little hint here of some leaves right there like that. And we're going to do sort of the same thing with this one. And we're going to take it on up in this direction and make a little leaf right here. Anyone have any questions? Anything they'd like to chit chat about? Okay, so we've got a pretty big trunk here. So that's what I'm working on. This is the trunk, in case you didn't know. This here is the trunk of these two gentlemen who love each other very much in a very caring manner as the spirit of the earth and what it depicts and their love for each other. And that's what we are depicting here is the love of men. The love of men who love on their self is this is what we are depicting. I mean, it's a fact, and this is what they are choosing. They want, they have this overabundance of love for each other. And so if you have any questions that you would like to talk about or anything, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new. Okay, we're going to take this on up here like this, and anyone have any questions or anything you'd like to ask about, talk about? We're just drawing a love tree here. And so let's take a close look here at what we're looking at with this love tree of what's going on. And these two gentlemen who love each other very much in a kind, caring, and loving manner. Okay, so I need to get a part of the tree started out of here because what I've got here is a tree. I mean, the branches are kind of, and the bark is stemming out of both of their backs like this. And so I do have my comments on if you'd like to leave a comment. Okay, we've got some comments here. Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to get over there and see what you asked here. And I'm hoping... Oh, wait a second. Okay, hang on a second. I went to the wrong video. Okay. You would think. I'm hoping that I don't have my sound on. Hello, Kaylin Polly. Kaylin Polly, surprise. I knew you were attention. Pay attention. Yes, you knew. I know you know. I pay attention to things. Yes, pay attention. I do pay attention to things, and I'm not always... I actually will run my own, I like to call it my own counterintelligence at times when necessary, kind of to steer things in another direction for certain things. And then there's times that I actually, well, like on the internet, when it's relevant, I will place it on the internet. Things that, and so this is why they said something about a King Scotland, and Saint Michael Angelo or something like that. I know they're historical figures from the past, and so that's why I had to address them, because this is, I mean, they love each other so very much. And so we want to honor their love by making this drawing for them and depicting their undying, unfettering love for each other. They just totally love each other so very, very much. And this is the kind of thing that we are showing today. Yes, pay attention. I am paying attention, yes. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now, I don't have my marker to make things darker right now because my fine tip marker, the one I was using, well, to make this, when I finished this, well, I didn't finish it. I was working on still yesterday and it ran out of ink. So all I need to do, I think I do have some markers that I can go get, but I just haven't gotten them out yet. And so, all I have is pencil right now. So I can press down harder on my pencil sketch and, make it harder this way, or make my lines a little bit harder like this. Okay, so now these leaves are pretty easy leaves. So what we're doing here is just kind of making leaves like this. This is our leaves. I mean, the premise of these leaves are beautiful leaves. They're kind of spirals, and then they're sort of translucent, lucent. Yeah, kind of, I would say kind of translucent leaves. Yeah, that works out perfect for these leaves. And so, I'm feeling, I am actually feeling kind of a heart right here. Let's go on ahead and kind of etch that in here, right here. Yeah, I knew I was feeling a heart right here. Do you see that? I was feeling a heart right here. Oh, I'm not sure that I want to leave the heart there, but I kind of, well, let me see if I can do something alluding to this little design that we have going on. Maybe some little vines of some sort like this, and we'll just kind of blend it in. I don't want it standing out too much. I just want it to blend in. And we'll do kind of make it a, yeah, that's better. So we just blended it in, turned it into kind of a vinish looking heart is what we did. And okay, so I'm going to take this and go off a little bit in this direction like that. I'm not sure, am I going to be able to carry it? I should be able to carry it through here a little bit like this and make some of these big squiggly leaves like this. Oh, these are perfect leaves. Do you see that? Does anyone have any other questions or anything that they'd like to ask about or anything you'd like to talk about? Now I do have, I'm gonna show this part, you know, because I may not get this drawing finished. It's gonna take me quite some time to finish it. But I want to show the premise of what I'm doing here so you have an idea. And besides, one of the hazards is getting pencil on my hand too. So what we have down here at the bottom is we've got kind of this arched like this arch going on. And so we've got these arches. I think over here is probably okay because, so we've got these arches going on. So technically this drawing is in sorts an ambigram in and of itself. And so I'm just kind of, I've got my pencil here to the side. Now if I wanted to add color, I can. I'm not going to lay down a whole bunch of pencil lead right now because I kind of want to think about maybe adding color to it like I did over here. I think I want to maybe get out my dark color marker and eventually use that to maybe enhance some of this. I'm just not sure yet because I think it would be more beautiful for these two gentlemen to have some color added into their life instead of just leaving them like this, because it's a very beautiful image of these two gentlemen here who love each other so very much. And so we want to do it justice, and that's why I decided to add them in here, the still, with this word ambigram word still. Now I kind of regret not making my ambigram a little bit neater than what I did, but I didn't, so I guess it is what it is right now. Maybe I can blend it in somehow a little bit later, like tattoo artists do. Oh my gosh, this would be the most beautiful tattoo, wouldn't it? Absolutely beautiful for a tattoo for these men who love each other so very much. I think it would be awesome for them to have a tattoo of each other on their shoulder, like right here maybe, or some sort. You know, for their undying, unfettering love for each other. I think that's a word, unfettering, something like that. I know that. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and we'll learn something. I've noticed that I was watching what I would call a condescending YouTuber today. Very, very condescending in the sense that she was doing some crochet, but I could just tell she really wasn't that into it because she was just doing, I would call it slop crochet is what it is. And so she was in the crochet community for some other reason. It wasn't anything to do with crochet, but it was for some other reason. And so the thing is that she does know how to crochet, but her intentions on teaching crochet are just not there. So I can always tell. I can always tell when someone doesn't, when their heart just isn't in it related to related to what they're doing with teaching. I mean, that would be, with the internet and doing that, to me, it's just on the same premise of, so you have a public school teacher and their heart just isn't in it to be a public school teacher, but they're doing it because it's a job, but they're just not into it related to, making sure that the kids even learn anything, and who wants a school teacher like that? And, and that's kind of what I think about the man that I had. That maybe this is, oh, it could be karma of some sort. Maybe this is dedicated to my, I think it was fourth or fifth grade teacher, that I had, who actually, his heart just didn't seem in it to be teaching us. And so I think this is probably dedicated to him. That he just took a job that he really wasn't that into, but he just took the job just because it was a job. I mean, maybe he wasn't even a real school teacher. Who knows? Because I know he was lousy and he had us learning about things that was really, really boring. And I know that was India. He had us learning about India. It was so, so boring. And the thing I got out of that was he taught us that he did make us read. The part that piqued my curiosity was about the cows and how they said that the people from India viewed cows as their ancestors. And I always found that fascinating. And I still do. I still actually do. But as far as India goes, reading that for fourth, fifth graders for like 2 months. We did it for several weeks. It was at least 8 weeks, So he said we were supposed to be done with it. And then he decided to keep on going. He says, well, we should be done with this, but we're going to keep on going with this chapter. So for several weeks, he had us doing silent reading in our books. And we were basically teaching ourselves. And he would sit with his feet propped up on the desk every day, just drinking coffee. So he was one of the least engaging teachers that I had ever had. I mean, he was a nice guy. I liked the guy. But as far as engaging with the students and making things interesting, it just wasn't in his heart to actually do that, so it was almost like he was doing the job because it was an easy job. And my gosh, I kind of consider school teaching sort of like administrative, I suppose, in a way. You know how they're always talking about that for men to be a man, that they have to do a manly job, but yet he was one of the few men that I had as a school teacher back then, because the jobs for teaching was going primarily to women at the time. Now, the thing is, I will say, I mean, to me, it is a bias. I would look at it that way, as a bias, if you're going to just give school teaching jobs to women only. And maybe back then, because the majority of our school teachers were women back then, maybe they started seeing, well, gosh, why can't men teach school? Which they can. But it's just not seen as a manly man's job. Now I think nowadays it's a whole lot more acceptable, and men actually would prefer teaching, from what I see, they would prefer doing something that's an easy kind of a job. Even though we have all this talk about, oh, women need to get out there and do this, and women need to get out there and do that, and so okay. Okay, so I'm trying to get more of the, okay, let's take, okay, we've got this line. And so we're going to, okay, I'm just trying to get a little bit of these whooshing, the whooshing circular motion through here. a little bit more. My gosh, that's actually turning out really, really nice. I wasn't real happy with this yesterday when I did the still. I wasn't real happy with it. But it was just one of those things I started playing around with it a little bit more. I'm not done with it yet. And I thought, why don't I just use this paper to add this on here, and we'll put the two of them together and we'll just call it still. Maybe I should have included that word in my metadata, but I can do that a little bit later. I don't have to do all my metadata right now because it changes all the time. Sometimes things are more popular, sometimes they're less popular, so it's always changing all the time. Okay. And so it's almost like we might have, oh my goodness, maybe I should get my color pencils out. And I would really like to, maybe I'm going to do that right now, because I really want to, that sort of looks like a sun. It does. It looks like the, let me do this before I get too much lead on there, because I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be mixing, we're going to be getting a muddy color here. That just, we're going to end up with, I think, a muddy color here. A little bit. I just want to add just a little bit in here. Oh yeah, that's going to set it off pretty good. This is kind of, for me, when I do this, it's sort of kind of like aligning things when I align at the edge of a crochet row with a yarn marker. That's what this kind of does for me when I add a little bit of color in here. Then I kind of have a center. I like things to pop out. And so I like them to pop out. Oh, I do have another pen though. Yeah, I don't want to use that pen. I was going to say I have another pen that is dark color, but I don't quite want to use that pen. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not done drawing yet, and so I don't want to add. This worked out really good. Now up here with these lines, when I was working on still yesterday up here, none of it bled, which I was happy about that. And then when I lay down the colors of, look how pretty that is. I mean, they shine and they're almost metallic. And it just added a whole lot more related to this little ribbon effect we've got going on here. So I was just kind of playing around a little bit. Now I want to make this pop a little bit more. I want to pop the colors out a little bit more. So I'm going to add in a little bit of peach. I would say this is kind of more of a peach color. A little bit of a peach. We're going to pop it out a little bit. Am I on? Let's see. Yeah, I'm on screen here. I just wanted to make sure what I'm doing here is on camera. Now what's happening here is I have so much lead right here that I'm actually blending and feathering the lead from the pencil. That's all right though. I mean, let me see if I have any of it on the end. Do you guys see any of it on the end there? I don't. We put it in this direction. Oh. Ooh. Big shadow there. I wonder if that shadow shows up on the screen. I want to see if it shows up on the screen. It does. Okay, so this is one of the few angles of shadows that actually shows up on the screen. um, okay, so we're adding some orange there. Okay, so now I've noticed here that my yellow, the yellow here almost looks green. When I blended it with the pencil lead, it sort of looks a little bit green, which is kind of an interesting thing to take place there. A little bit of a transformation where the light color lead has taken on a greenish color. Okay, so what color? Let me get a couple of greens out here. We'll keep on with the green theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a little bit of color in here. Oh, is that a bad choice of color? It could be. That might be a bad choice of color. Maybe, do I need something brighter? I'm not too happy with that color. I think it's because I'm blending my pencil in as well when I lay down this color. Okay, this one's a little bit better. Now I can go back in. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay. So this color of the pencil was so dark that it's actually blending it in, making it look like the same color as the pencil almost, even to my visualization here. Let me do some of this and we'll color this up here and get it to pop back out again. That's what all I'm doing, is just trying to get it to pop back out again like that. So I've got a layer of pencil and then color pencil, and then now I'm layering back over on top again with pencil. And there we go. That's not too bad. It does look a little bit muddy, but that's okay. That's okay that it's muddy. Okay, so I'm going to add in a little bit of, let me see here. I want to add a little bit of, one thing, I have found that it's very hard to erase colored pencils too. I've never had any luck erasing colored pencils, even though I've tried. That sounds like such a ridiculous notion, doesn't it, to erase colored pencils? But I have tried. I have tried doing that before, and it doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to add this color in here on the outside. This color, I think this color and this color are the same, but I use different pressures. So you can see right here, when I press hard, I get this color. When I press light, then I get the lighter color. And I'm pretty sure that this is the same color. So I'm just doing a little bit of light pressure here with this color. And then I can always go back over it. I probably will go back over it with a ink pen. But I found with this one, once it dried, it didn't bleed. So hopefully I'll be able to get over the colored pencil with a ink pen. I'm hoping that will work. I have done it before, but sometimes it's a little more challenging because sometimes the colored pencil has like a shiny effect to it, almost waxy at times. These do anyway. And so it kind of might make it a little more challenging. So that's why, okay, I like that. That looks pretty good. I want to get a little bit more red in there though, brighter red. That's what I'm looking for, is a little bit more brighter red. Maybe before we do the bright, I was having a hard time finding my bright red colors. Okay. Okay, this is pink. I think that might be this one right here. I know I have red in, oh, here it is. Is that red or, yeah, that's red. It looks orange sometimes. I want a little bit of blue in here too. And, okay, hang on. Let's see if we can, okay, where do we want, well, let's stick a little bit of blue in here. We're going to blend the blue in here with the green. It's almost looking like a rainbow sun now. And that's good because that's probably what we kind of want it to look like, a little rainbowy sun here. Oh, yes, blue and green. Yeah, we're not going to overdo it. We're just not going to overdo it at this point. I think this part up here, it looks like it's probably blended in with the tree and the leaves. That's what I'm thinking. That's where I'm going with that. So now I want to do a little bit of red. We're going to pop the red out a little bit with this color. Just like that. Yeah, that works. That works. That's the meal ticket right there. It almost looks like a smiley face though, doesn't it? Right in there. Maybe we got the Cheshire cat hidden up in here because I always like the smile of the Cheshire cat. You know, you just have the smile and the eyes, and that's all you have. Just the smile and just the eyes, and that's it. I can manage color pencils better than watercolor. I like playing with watercolor, but I have such a hard time managing it. I have a very hard time managing watercolor. It tends to want to do what it tends to want to do, and it's unmanageable. That's what I probably need to start a series called Unmanageable Watercolors. It kind of like the makeup from back in the day when, let's get some of these browns out here and make some of these other parts pop out. Where I was going with this was the watercolor makeup from back in the day, and that's what I call it, where you would have, they called it waterproof makeup. And let's see if this one works. This is I think it's a brownish dark color, possibly. Oh, that does work. Alrighty. That does work. Maybe we can enhance some of the, yeah, we can use a pencil. I didn't think about that. I used to have some pencils that were, what would I call them? They were pencils that were different lead weights. But I almost think that I like, what color does it say on here? Does it have a color on here? Oh yeah, it does. I can't tell. I have to put it up here to see if I can read it. I can't see what color it is. If there is something printed on there, I'm having a hard time seeing it. I would need to get out some glasses to read it because I'm having a hard time. I think because it's shiny and gold and glittery, maybe that's why. But I'm going to leave that color out. Um, okay, so this did pop. This did pop these colors out pretty good, right here like this. Popped them out pretty good. Okay, I'm going to leave that color out here. I'm going to do some browns, but I'm going to mix red and browns together. I don't like a flat brown. I also need some greens, so let's do a series of, okay, which one green was I having a hard time with? The olive drab green, I think, was the one I was having a hard time with. But, okay, if I get it back out, I didn't pay attention to myself, but we're going to do some greens right here. And so I've got a series of greens and maybe a little bit of blue, because I like to mix blues and greens together. And I think I've got some of the greens. I might have duplicates that, let's see here. Yeah, I can't read any of the colors on there. It's not, the gold shiny is not a very good color to read, and the print is so tiny, so tiny. Okay, so let's get started here. Okay, so maybe we want to work on their diaper here, their diaper area. So we're going to work on the diaper area here. We're going to paint it gold, a golden diaper. We're going to work with a golden color here. And so this is in the diaper area around the trunk of the tree. And so they're, both of them are enclosed in diapers. Tree diapers is what they are. Sometimes it depends on what we're looking at and where we think we're going and what we think we're going to get. But the roots, okay, that's enough with that. Okay, so brown. I think this might be, it could be black and this is brown. I think that's what I've got here, that the one on the left is black and the one on the right is brown. And so both of them will work actually. So if I need to enhance things a little bit like this, then I can add some more enhancements in here to make things pop out a little bit. Okay, so I need to color, let's add a little bit of brown. I'm not going to press down too hard on this. I just want the colors to pop out. That's all I want. It's just a little bit of the colors like that. I don't want everything to be the same color, so I'm going to add a little bit of red in here too, a little bit of reddish tones. I always call it sepia because trees are just not one color, so I like to add a little bit of contrast into, you know, that with brown you need red to get brown to make that muddy mess. And so now I'm going to go back and use this color. I'm going to add some of it up here and blend it a little bit like this. And then I'm going to go around this direction and blend it down like this a little bit. Now, see, the longer I keep working on things, you know, so if I would have stayed on camera, I probably would have went in this direction, but I just had the start of what I was doing. So yesterday afternoon, I just sat here and doodled and doodled and doodled by myself all afternoon. I didn't put any of it on camera because it took a lot of extra time. And so I was just having fun just playing with what I was doing here with my ambigram here. And so I was playing with my ambigram and doodling with that. I was doodling around a little bit. Okay, so let's add more of this color to enhance some of the veins. And so we're putting the veins here in the trunk of the tree. And so I'm not really gonna add, oh, that turned green. Oh, perfect. My goodness, with the brown and the gold, it turned green. That's just like in real life, that gold eventually, with the fake gold, it turns green. Brown, interesting. Um, okay, so now I'm not going to go down there. That's really pretty, actually. His diaper is really pretty. Let's see if we can't make the other guy's diaper prettier. We're going to work on the other guy's diaper here and his tree diaper. We are going to add a little bit of brown in here like this. We're enhancing his diaper around here. Okay, and I could actually enhance a little bit in here with green if yeah, we sure can. You know how trees, when they're little baby buds, they're all green. The trees start off as green and then they turn a different color. Okay, I need to get a little bit of this up here, tiny bit coloring in there. And so I need to add a little bit of reddish in here with this one, tiny bit. I don't want to add too much. No, we're not going to do too much. Okay. Oh my goodness sakes. Yep, with between the red and the gold, it turns greenish. Red and gold turns green for some reason. That's kind of the colors I'm getting when I blend red, gold, and brown together here. I end up with a green, which is kind of interesting how I end up with those colors. Okay, so we've got depicted here the tree diapers. The tree diaper depiction here, kind of like the toga of the Greek gods. You guys remember the Greek gods, you know, the toga, the toga parties from back in the day, the 1970s toga parties. Some of you might remember. A lot of you, if you're younger, you might not remember that movie, Animal House. If you remember Animal House. And so, okay, so let's keep on. I think we're going to continue with this series of colors because it's working out really, really well. And so we've got their little tree diapers on here, and we've got a lot of things that are looking like fig leaves. Now this is the roots from the trees. This is the tree roots right here. And so you can see right there's a tree roots. So yeah, let's keep on with this theme here of colorations. Let me look up here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to add a kind of a little circle in here, kind of like a little leaf. I'm going to add a little, you know, just gold right in here. Just kind of as filler, just to kind of fill it in. Okay, let's set you back down here. We're going to add a little bit of reddish color. Are we going to get orange with this one? Yeah, a little bit of, yeah, blend in with this one. We're getting a little bit of, oh, I like that color too. That's really pretty. Okay, so let's go with the gold. Let's do a little bit of gold over here. Make this pop out. Make it pop out a little bit like that. Okay, now we need to add maybe just a shade, little hints of green down here. And we're going to do the same thing with the tree roots over here. We're going to add a little bit of green. We're probably going to do green and gold. Yeah, I think that's where we're going with this one. A little bit of green and gold. Let's see what happens here. What we end. Oh, nice. Kind of looks like a vomit, diarrhea color. And that's what we're looking for. So when we're doing our blending and shading with green and gold, we get the vomit diarrhea color. Now, I think these are the new color pencils that are metallic. Yeah, they do say Crayola. I can read that part on them. Okay, that one does say gold on it. I can see that it says gold, but it's kind of hard. Maybe I should look and see if they have more of those. I like these color pencils, and I want to see if they have more of them. This works out pretty good, pretty darn good. I could try my new colored pencils here too. I kind of forget about them. Let me see. I'll use one of them. I don't know why I'm trying to conserve them, because I really need to be using them. Okay, what's this one? And what I do is I lay them down on the side. I lay them down on their side. Okay, let me see what this I don't know, this might be a... Okay, this is what they are. They've got a bunch of colors impregnated in the pencil. And so, let's see, let's lay this down here. Let's see what we get. Okay, I'm going to lay it down like this. Okay, I'm going to spin it like that and see if we don't... My goodness, we're getting a lot of green there. A lot of green. I don't even see green in there, but yeah, there's a lot of green in there. Oh, nice, though. That looks pretty good, though. I guess I picked a decent color. Oh, I like this one, too. It turns out to be a little bit different. Okay, and then we will add the... Oh yeah, I like that one too. Okay, and then... Okay, I'm going to stop there before I get too big of a muddy mess. I'm afraid that's the direction I'm headed, is to muddy mess, and I don't want to do that. We don't want muddy mess. But it does kind of depict water a little bit, you know, because I've always said that I've always said that trees, they hold a lot of water, which they do. So let's kind of blend this with more gold. We'll do a little bit of gold, and or we'll do a little bit of gold right here. We're shading with some gold. Okay. Now I think it's okay for me to add in, I'm going to use a little bit of brown to make this pop out. Okay, so I need to make my lines and my veins and roots pop back out again. And so I'm just using this pencil. Oh, perfect. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Beautiful here. Two beautiful men who love each other so very much. You can just tell they completely adore each other. Okay. How long have I been on here? Oh, over an hour. Oh my goodness sakes. Over an hour. Okay, let's do a... I need to do a little tiny clip. Okay. And so this one's going to take me some time to finish. You know, maybe I'll finish working on it later on this afternoon. I'm not going to get it completed in this video, or I could just let it set and, well, how about I do this? Should we give them some gold hair? I think, yeah, let's give them some gold hair. Well, should we give both of them gold hair? Goldish, yellowish. Maybe it should be goldish, yellowish hair. Now I'm going to have to pop back out their hairline, their hair. I should be able to do that with no problem whatsoever. Okay. Okay, so let's use, well, we'll use this darker brown color to pop out these lines here. There we go. We got that, their hair popped back out there. But let's stick with the theme of green. Let's just do that. We're going to add in a little bit shades of green in here. Green and gold. Kind of green and gold, goldish hair. I think that'll work. Green and gold. And let's see here. Let's do a little bit of gold color here. I'm not coloring in real hard, just some slight gold color. This color works for what I'm depicting here. We're going to do a little bit of gold through here, and I might have to enhance it a little bit later to, most definitely I will, related to the blending my pencil sketching in. That's probably good for, that's good right now. Let's add in just a tiny hair of brown. I don't have, gold works really good, or seems to, for the color I'm looking for. Golden brown. Okay. So let's add, I need to add in my lines again. Alrighty, we're going to get them to popping out here. They're right there. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. There we go. See how it pops everything out? Just pops it right on back out. I might need to pop this hand out a little bit there, like that. And so I need to pop this line back out. I probably am not going to need my ink marker. I don't think I'm going to need my ink marker. What a beautiful picture here. They just love each other so very much. They just love each other so very much. Okay, and so we've completed their diaper area here. Their diapering, we're done with their diapering here. And what part are we? Now we're working on the roots of the tree. So I believe that we have a little bit more to work on in Let me do this. I'm just going to kind of shade in this area with, I want to, with the gold. And the gold actually looks a little bit yellow, but it's gold. It's supposed to be gold. So what I'm going to do is take, well, how about, since it's down there at the base, that we add maybe in, yeah, this will work. We'll make, we'll make it look grassy because of the fact that it's down here towards the grassy area. And so we've kind of gone with the tree root theme down here. And we'll just give it a little kind of a grassy look. But I'm going to carry, I want to add a little bit more tree roots. Yeah, tree roots down here like this. Like that. There, I think that's working. Let's see. Yeah, that works because it depicts the tree roots at the base of the tree. So that works out really well there. These two gentlemen who love each other so very much. And they're just having a happiness time with each other here as part of the tree of life, in love, and men who embrace each other in a caring, loving manner. Okay, so let's make this little part pop out right there a little bit. Okay, and I feel like this needs a little bit more, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. Well, let's add a little bit of gold in here. We're going to add gold. Now, I know it looks a little bit tannish, but let's add a little bit gold in here. I'm just kind of coloring off to the side of my pencil here, not using a whole lot of lead, not using a whole lot of pressure. I don't need to. Okay, and so now I'm going to chicken scratch in the opposite direction here, like this. And that's all I'm going to do right there. Okay, so I'm gonna add in just a hint of green here, a little bit more green around here. A little hint of green. Oh, this image. Oh, I just realized at the bottom it says brothers. It says brothers. And I know a lot of men, they actually use that word brothers. You know, I love you, man. They depict it all the time on TV, you know, in their work environments. And, you know, they're probably more of the masculine types who are not afraid to express their masculinity in any way. You know, they know they're men, but they don't need anybody to tell them whether they can or can't show affection to another man in public, no matter what that is. And so I thought, you know, I've looked and looked on the internet, and I have not seen anything really like this. And so I thought, you know, why not do something like that, you know? Brothers do love each other. They really do. They care about each other. You know, you see that all the time. Now, this would just be one person by itself. If it was out of the Bible, if it was Cain and Abel, I mean, I don't think that this would work. It really wouldn't work because Cain and Abel really didn't like each other very much. I don't know why, but you know, there's people who have been preaching that they are positive that there had to be other families. in the era of Adam and Eve. And, so I don't think they get into the book author of the Bible related to how the methodology of the madness of why they depicted what they did and said at the beginning of the earth that this is how things were. Um, the thing that really gets me with the Bible is how it became so famous. It's like the most famous thing around the whole world. It really is. I didn't realize that until the past 6 years, because I just kept hearing that there was all these other countries who don't believe in the Bible. And then come to find out that what they believe in is pretty much the same thing. That's all I hear over and over again is because when I compare the Christian Bible to the Islam Bible, they're the same. They're both Sharia law. Um, and I'm fine for a legible discussion on that because I don't see it any other way. I mean, both harm people. They both harm people. They're harmful to people. They allow crimes to take place. What they tend to do is say, well, this is what we think should happen, but yet they just continue to let the crimes take place. I mean, so that's the law of nature. Now you have a law of man, which is a little different. Law of nature just lets crimes take place. So when you look at animals do things to each other all the time based on who is higher on the food chain. And even nuisance animals at times, they do get taken out by human intelligence when they become such a big nuisance. They do take them out because they're a nuisance. That's the reason they take them out. They're a nuisance to humans. They've harmed human beings. And they feel like, well, they're not going to stop harming the human beings. So, kind of like alligators and bears, as I know as hard as it is for people to wrap their brains around that, that's just what happens. And I've thought that with society. Why is it that society gives, men give other men a pass for bad behavior and they don't take those men out? And I don't mean like fatally, I just mean out of society so they're not part of the food chain anymore and that they are behind bars where they belong. I mean, because that's where they belong, is in a place where they're no longer harming people. They're no longer doing things that are harmful to people. But a lot of them just seem to let them get away with the crimes over and over again. Even when you tell them. It seems like some don't understand that no means no. You can tell them no means no, and they still seem to not understand that concept of no means no. Okay, I think what I'm going to place in here is a little bit of blue. Oh, yeah, let's place a little bit of blue in here. We'll make this little part pop out a little bit like that. It almost looks like an apple, doesn't it? It does. It looks kind of like an apple. And this is a really good depiction of the Bible because they talk about men so much, and then the apple tree. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make an apple. I'm going to make a stem up here. So this little heart depiction could be the apple seeds, but I'm going to draw a stem right here. And this is going to be, yeah, perfect. That's what we're going to draw right here is a stem depicting an apple right here. There was another color I wanted to add. Oh, I know what I wanted to look for. I need to look for navy blue. That's what I need to look for. But before I do that, though, I want to add a little enhancement here to make this pop out a little bit more. I want there to be some veins in here, like that. I'm not going to do too much, but there, now it looks like an apple. Okay, let me find, are you navy blue? Could I have found you so fast? No, you're not navy blue. You're kind of like gray. You are a gray color, you're not navy blue. Are you navy blue? You look like navy blue. Okay. We're going to use some navy blue here. And we're going to wrap you on around here. So our apple is a non-traditional color apple here. That's what that is. So we've got a non-traditional colored apple here. And just like this. So I'm just coloring on the side of my pencil lead right there like that. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, who decided that apples were green and red? I mean, and why don't we have any blue apples? I mean, actually green and red could have been called blue as far as that goes. Okay, that looks... I still feel like something is missing, though, with that thing above their head. The heart, something is... I'm going to have to make it pop, though, with another color, though. There's just something... Let me see here what I can find in these colors. If there's something... I just feel like something is missing. I don't know. Is this what's missing? Let's see. Something to make it pop just a little bit more. Trying to get it to pop here. Is that it? I don't know. Just not sure. Just not quite sure here. I'm going to have to use a marker, though. And I don't have my markers right now. This part's not popping out as much as I want. I don't know. Maybe I should just go with dark seeds. That would pop it out. I'm wondering if that's what I'm looking for. I'm not quite sure yet, but I have a long ways to go on this one. And so I'm sure I'll think of something. But I had to do the upside down rainbow. So we've kind of got like an apple with a heart in the middle here. That's kind of a non-traditional apple. And then an upside down rainbow. That's, you know, sort of like the womb that bears fruit. Yeah, that's a good depiction. The womb that bears fruit. And And this might be the depiction of oh, do we want to say it? Oh. Oh no, it's not my baby, it's my brother's baby. The ones that don't want to take blame for anything. You know, it's like he got her knocked up and he don't want to take blame for it. You know, so the upside down rainbow is sort of like the womb that bears fruit, which is the apple seed. Johnny Appleseed. Do you guys remember that? Johnny Appleseed. Now, I remember one time I went to Sunday school and I tried to get um, well, one of my teachers was talking about something. So we had man teachers for our Sunday school. And usually it was the same guy. Yeah, I think he was about the only one. There was one or two at the most. And there was one guy, and so I don't know. I think they were pushing that spectrum of that a man was going to be a Sunday school teacher. And I actually asked my dad one time how come he was never a Sunday school teacher, and he just said he didn't want to be a Sunday school teacher. Now he was on the board of the church at one time, and I believe he was an usher for a period of time. They were always asking him to do stuff. He was doing stuff for free. Him and my mom committed a lot of time to the church, and doing things for free. You know, just doing things for free. My mom cooked a lot for free for the church and did a lot of things. And what do they get in return? Pretty much nothing from the church. I I sometimes think, even though they liked going, I think as they age, they like socializing. And the pastor told my mom at one time that church wasn't a place for people to be socializing. And then they changed things. But that pastor passed away not long after he told my mom that. And then they had different pastors, and then they started bringing in food, donuts and food and stuff that the church was paying for. It was kind of, I think that was after I no longer went. They started doing that. They did have breakfast every once in a while. And it's like, well, if church is not a place for socializing, then why did they start having breakfast? And so I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, well, you told my mom that church wasn't a place for socializing. Well, why would anybody want to go to church if you don't socialize? And that's where most people were socializing, was at church. So, I mean, anyway, so we've got some really weird looking picture going on here right now. And to me, it doesn't look very good right now. It's kind of ugly. Now, this one I thought was ugly yesterday, but I made it beautiful. I really like this one. It's really beautiful today. I worked on it off camera. I'll probably do the same thing with this one and make it look beautiful. But this one here, either he has a beer belly or he's expecting a baby. Well, it's one of the two. I'm not sure. But, or they're conjoined. They could be conjoined twins, maybe. I'm not sure. But we'll see where this goes. Everything is so blended up in there that it depicts my thought process with life, where a person and animals are buried at the base of the tree. And then the human becomes a tree, and that's what all these are depicting. The human becomes a tree, even though it's artwork. That's what we're depicting when, and I kind of think when my grandpa said, I always said, Grandpa, how old are you? And he said, as old as dirt. Grandpa always said that, as old as dirt. And it's like, Grandpa was a very devout religious person. And he probably would have been mad hearing me say that I don't believe in church. I'm a non-believer. I believe in humanity. I believe in what I can see as a fact, and that humans get buried in the dirt. Grandpa kind of maybe was doing a Freudian slip or something he truly believed in. I mean, he knows we're buried into the dirt, into the earth, but then to kind of believe that aspect of church and taking it in the direction of, it's you got the separation of, you got the church off over here, and then the separation of church from this, where the thought process is that we are part of the earth. Church separates us from the earth. That's, yeah, I don't see that anywhere. Church separates us from the earth. And so I would ask the question, why does church separate us from the earth? And that's what they've been doing. So when we feel this separation and what I call the fractured spirit, church separates us from the earth, from the planet earth. And and as a child, I would not have understood that. But what is the thing they always talk about? Separation of church and state. So you got, so if you had the state government up here, I mean, church purposely separates itself from government. Church separates itself from the earth, the planet earth. I don't know what church does. I mean, with their logic and their thinking is very, very bizarre because they're way off over here in La La Land. And it's like the rest of humanity is trying to come to terms with, well, we are part of the earth. We do die. We know that. We've all had people pass away, lives end. We know that. We come to accept that. That's part of life. We age. We get old. And then there's other factors that come into play that they don't want us to talk about, which is government and politics. Church does not like government and politics. They don't want to talk about that. But yet it's so influential. If you want to hear about influencing, church is the problem. Church is the problem. So and it's been influencing negatively on society. That's just been my opinion. And I'm at a place where I can talk about this now, not feel scared, because people who have grown up in an indoctrination of church and Christianity, you kind of feel scared to talk about things, so when you're shamed into not talking, and then for decades upon decades, we've had all these commercials about churches molesting little kids. I mean, this has been on daytime TV, it's been on commercials, it's been lawsuits, and it's like, for crying out loud. Yeah, and they're right. They're absolutely right. Church just lets people get away with it, and they don't question anything because they just want things to be churchy off over here, and they don't want to listen to society. In school we learned about Johnny Appleseed. Johnny Appleseed was sort of an explanation, a child's explanation, I believe. It's mixed usage. Johnny Appleseed was going around throwing, when a kid asked, okay, well, how does an apple tree grow? Well, Johnny Appleseed's out there throwing seeds around all over the place and creating apple orchards. Well, then lo and behold, fall time comes around, you got the apple orchard. The apple orchard was a fun place to go because they grew a whole bunch of apples. They had a bunch of different flavored of apples, and it was a fun fall thing to go do, was go to the apple orchard. And then they expanded their business, and they wanted, even though they're kind of seasonal. But Johnny Appleseed at the same time is a children's explanation for adult things that is above children's heads. However, I want to say that they're above kids' heads, but if you explain how it works for kids, they understand it. Now, why is it that you could explain to a second grader or third grader about the birds and the bees, and they're going to understand that? They're fully going to understand that. That's why I say people who are talking about, where they say that some kids know too much. If their parents explain to them about the birds and the bees at a young age, and the kids understand it, and they're expressing it, does that mean that the parents are bad parents for explaining everything to them? The kids understand it, and then now you've got some school teacher over here who thinks that the kids have been molested. So if you're doing homeschooling and teaching your kids at homeschooling, right now actually is because a lot of people have said they've had a hard time with homeschooling. Right now, others are saying that homeschooling has become the norm for a lot of people. It's like you're invited to homeschool. The truant officers are gone. They're right. For a long time, that's all we heard about was the truant officers. Oh, you gotta take your kids to school. That's all we saw on TV in the 1970s. Take your kids to school. Take your kids to school, or the truant officer is going to come and get you. I can't tell you how many times my mom said that to me, that the truant officer, if I didn't go to school, that the truant officer would have to deal with me. And now I'm beginning to wonder, what in the world is the truant officer? Or was that just another word for a police officer that someone was going to call the police on kids? Oh, if you skip school, and now they have senior ditch day where they ditch days at school. Oh, my mom wouldn't have allowed me to do that. No way would she allowed me to ditch school. My mom or my dad, oh, you got to get those good grades. And it's like, what was the purpose for those good grades now? I had horrible grades. I had like a 2.8 or 9 from high school. I had a 4.0 in college and for quite a few semesters, and a 3.5 in other semesters, for I had a GPA average of, I think it was 3.5 when I graduated. It wasn't perfect 4.0. I was hoping it would have been, but it wasn't. And now I'm thinking, now from high school, I made my grades better from high school because I was a deadbeat, couldn't get up above 3. I graduated with a 2.9. 2.9, I believe, is what it was, something like that. I don't know, maybe my average between 3.5 and 4.0, maybe it was a little higher, maybe it was like a 3.7, I'm not sure. But I think they just rounded them up or down. They didn't actually do like high school does, where I had a 2.9. I couldn't quite get that C average I couldn't get the C average for high school. So I thought, okay, it would be fun to better my grades as an adult. I did that. Still didn't land that job. I'm still waiting. Where's that job? Where is that fabulous job for women at? Where is it? Okay, so let's get back here to the King of Scotland and Saint Michael Angelo, since they are the ones who are where everyone is fixated on. The King of Scotland and Saint Michael Angelo, all these Episcopals who come over from Europe, and they've got everything figured out, and they think that they've got all the answers. And so at this point in time, it is possible. He does look like he's expecting a baby. So I think that's why he has such a fat belly there. Or he drinks too much beer. That's the possibility. They both have kind of fat bellies, so they might have made each other expecting with child here. Yeah, I mean, anything is possible, right? Right? We've had this discussion for a very long time. And so, yeah. I mean, they both got the jab. That's all I'm going to say. They both got the jab there. They're the ones who are in charge of the jab, and they're jabbing each other now. And so I think that's where I'm going to end this, because I've got a long, long ways to go with this particular drawing, to make it look better than what it is right now. I mean, it looks decent. It looks pretty decent. It's just I can make it a little better. Oh, I like that top part on camera, though. It kind of stands out, and it's a little shimmery and shiny. I like the aspect of a blue apple. A blue, or, a non-traditional color apple. I mean, by today's standards, we could have Catherine Appleseed, right? Catherine Appleseed, the Queen Catherine Appleseed, or the what was Fergie Appleseed, Fergie Appleseed, Fergie. Yeah, remember Sarah Ferguson, Sarah Appleseed. Um, that's the direction it went in. I mean, they do just the completely opposite of, and they're the rebellious of, I mean, that's more of Hollywood and all that stupid nonsense that they do. They have to do the complete opposite of what we're taught in society. So they take on the opposing, and they call that thought provoking, which to me it's disgusting that they take that on. This only notion of, it's like for me is you take and you, I liked how the Native Indians did it the best, where they showed on TV. There was a show that I watched, and what they did was they buried a person here at the base of the tree. And in fact, I watched a cable show, and there's these people over in, I believe, where were they at? Either South America or India. And they had a woman, and she was dying, and they showed her on TV. So they were following this tribe. And so she would move a little bit. They would take water over to her. So they were doing everything they could in their power to, but I think they knew she was dying. And so I even think they had a hole dug, that they had dug a hole in advance. They knew she was dying. It's just like an animal out in the wild, or an animal in someone's herd when it just lays down and they know it's dying and they leave it there. They take food over it to try to get it to eat, and then it just won't eat. And so they kept giving her water, and she would take the water. They'd dribble it over her face. They would put compresses on her face. And then eventually she died. And so they wrapped her in a gunny sack and put her down in the earth. And that's where she was buried at. So, I mean, that's why I always thought this coffin thing, spending what, $20,000 on a coffin is insane. That's completely insane. Who wants to spend $20,000 on a wooden coffin to go into the ground? So how they did it in India was in a gunny sack. It was either, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was India, because they were following the Indian tribes over in India. And so it was the tribal thing of from, people who are living on the land and living kind of in huts and things like that. And it was old shows. Very well could have been old shows that they were showing. And it was on cable TV. It was something I decided to watch. And I did find it, I found it sad, but at the same time, it's like, I found it acceptable. It's like, okay, this is interesting. It's acceptable. So you don't have any other means to do anything. So they just bury a person in the ground. There's no fancy coffin. They put them in a gunny sack. It's kind of like the mummification from the tribes, the Egyptian tribes, where they found people in the, only they just put them in a gunny sack. So they did something just to preserve their, to wrap up the body and then put it in a cloth and put it in the ground. And that was it.